saw an effect on my family business by policy, state policy.
Right.
And I just became determined under whatever it took. You know, we sold the business. I went back to school at that point to finish my education. But I was determined to get this person out of office. And I didn't really care who ran against him.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a Kerry Edwards guy, and I wasn't a Whitman guy during the primary. I was more probably in tune with Christy Whitman.
Right.
Only that I thought she presented herself in a much better way. And then after the primary, I became very involved with the Whitman campaign locally in Mercer County. Met.
So that was your first campaign?
That was my first campaign. I met the county chairman at the time, which was Phil Langarone Sr., who eventually became her deputy chief of staff. And he kind of took me under his wing. He was my mentor, taught me the game of politics, encouraged me to go back, continue my education. And when the opportunity arose where a position opened up at an entry level with the state, he told me to submit an application. And I did. And I did get the job. And the rest of the history. But I owe so much to Phil and his family. And that's where my love of politics began. Because, you know, he made things aware to me that maybe the average person wasn't aware of. He gave me insight into things that maybe I didn't understand. The importance of raising money, the importance of getting a message, of formulating a plan, and getting that message out.
All the basic elements that go into a solid
political
campaign, yeah.
Right, and the importance of grassroots. Now, there was other people along the way, like I got involved with the High Time campaign, Don DeFrancesco, Bob Fry. I mean, a lot of campaigns with Republicans after that. And people like Rick Wright, who taught me the importance of being a field operative.
You mentioned you came from Canada. It's something that a lot of people may not realize. How old were you when you moved from?
Well, I was an infant.
You were an infant, okay. Right.
And I grew up in Trenton.
Right.
At 15, we moved back to town where I was born. It was called Thunder Bay, Ontario. It was about 40 miles north of Minnesota.
Right.
Old.
Yeah,
very old.
I can imagine.
Average temperature was 7 below in the winter.
That's terrible.
Yeah, you only had like 2 months, 6 weeks of summer.
So we really shouldn't complain about our Jersey weather.
Well, you can complain.
You can complain.
You know what they say. If you don't like the
just
weather,
don't complain to a Canadian, right?
Well, no. They say in New Jersey, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. Because it will change that quickly. There was more consistency in Canada. It was just cold.
Right.
You couldn't go swimming, and in the lakes it was just
forget about it. Just hockey.
Yeah, and from 15 to 19, and then we came back to New Jersey. Canada's a beautiful country in some parts. Wouldn't want to live there again. Too social. Very social. I mean,
and that's interesting because a lot of people have compared us to Canada in recent weeks and months because it seems like we're moving in that socialist direction, not only just here in New Jersey but also nationally.
I hope not. But I refer to it as the duplex country. They have two of everything. They have two languages.
Right.
Everything's written in English and French. Back then, they only had 2 networks. They two airlines. Everything's run by the government. And Canada is one of those countries when you're done your day at work, you still owe the government more money, so they send you back to work. And
no joke.
The main reason we came back, though, my mom, who was a heart patient, and she had rheumatic fever as a child and had rheumatic heart disease, could not get adequate care in Canada.
Really interesting.
Yeah, there was no specialist that specialized in her field. And they were constantly referring her to go to doctors in the United States. So we said, well, we might as well just move back. I mean, at the time, Deborah Hospital was the heart and lung capital of the world.
Right.
And it was all privately funded. And she was a long-time patient there. And we came back mainly for her care. But so anyone who speaks of socialized medicine, come talk to me first, and I'll tell you. I'll give you an earful.
It's not what it's cracked up to be.
No, it's a lot of publicity from Hollywood types, but the fact of the matter is, those limousine liberals wouldn't want to live in that system either. Because no matter how much money you have, the government regulates your entire health. I'm sorry, I'd rather keep that to the professionals. Let the professionals battle with the HMOs. But,
Right.
and that is just two private companies going at it, for lack of a better terminology. But there's two private sectors going at it. Once the government intervenes, then all latitude and all negotiations go out the window. So, no, I wouldn't want that system in this country.
Another thing you've been in the news for recently has been talk that you are writing a book. And I know that there's probably a lot of legal issues involved with the writing of this book, but is there anything you can tell us about us when we might be able to expect it, or?
No, I can't really get into that. I can't really get into any of that. No, it was just a thought and idea when you're unemployed and angry.
Right.
But at this juncture, there's nothing to go forward with that.
I'm sure another thing that our listeners will be very curious about is, your personal experience with Jon Corzine and what he's like off camera. Most New Jerseyans just get to see him, maybe once a year when they tune in for the budget address or for wherever there's something going on about, the state finances in the news or in the newspaper, and they don't know too much about Jon Corzine, the man. You've had some unique insight. So I was wondering if maybe, again, I know there might be some legal issues that may preclude you from being able to talk as freely as you'd like, but is there some insight you could offer into your experience with Jon Corzine?
Again, Matt, like you said, that's not anything I really can get into, unfortunately. But thanks for asking.
Right. No, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome, Rocco. Hopefully it's something one day we might be able to read more about.
Again, I can't comment on that.
When all's said and done, you've gone through this lengthy public ordeal, may not even be over yet. What's your relationship like with your sister-in-law, if it exists at all?
Non-existent.
Non-existent?
Not since March of 2007. Blowout between the two sisters, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, Carla was never like a sister in the emotional, biblical sense. I mean, she's always been on her own and jet setting and president of unions and whatnot like that. So, I don't want to speak for my wife, but to be honest with you, I don't think she really misses her. Even they're only a couple of years apart. So,
just not that closeness.
She's much more closer to my sister,
Right.
in my family than she is her own.
You can pick your family and not your friends, or you pick your friends and not your family.
Well, my wife has made a choice, and she supports me, and she knows it was a great injustice done. Carla was a major factor into that injustice, and has shown no remorse at all. And matter of fact, has washed her hands of the situation, saying that it was my fault. So that put my wife over the edge, and they just don't have anything to do with it.